Okay, we are live and recording.
Great. Thanks, Gloria. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. The time is 5:01, and this is a special meeting of the Silverton Board of Trustees. This is a public hearing. I'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Halverson.
Here.
Trustee Wakefield.
Here.
Trustee Schnicker.
Here.
Trustee Gardner. Here. Trustee George.
Here.
Representative Tim Harper.
Yes, here.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes, here. Great, thank you. So as a public hearing, we will first hear from staff to kick this off, and then we'll have then we'll hear from the applicant, then we'll have public comment, and then we'll have trustee discussion and deliberation. So I will turn it over to, I believe, Clayton.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So you have the staff report in front of you. I tried to outline this a little more clearly for the Board of Trustees here so that you understood kind of where we're at in this process and what we need to do to go forward. The ordinance that you have before you today is what we need to do to stand up the SID itself, and so that we can continue on with continue calculations and engineering and all that to make sure that our assessment ordinance is in place. Obviously, without the SID, there can be no assessment. But right now, this is the way ahead if you want to continue with forming the SID as an entity, as that quasi governmental function. And time is of the essence here, and so we would need to pass this the first reading and then go to a second reading immediately. And sorry, I'm driving. Then we'd have to have that second reading on schedule, and then we could also be working concurrently through the assessment ordinance, and you'll be seeing that probably in the next 30 days as well. So subject to your questions, that's what we're doing.
Thanks, Clayton. Gloria, I think the petitioners were going to join. I know Jeff is maybe going to be online if we need any further clarification from him. I don't know if we want to have him add anything, but yeah, Clayton, go ahead. What makes the most sense?
Yeah, sorry. Where did I get cut off? I'm sorry.
I was just asking if we would hear from the petitioners. This is a public hearing, but it's not like a land use application. So I didn't know if we hear from the petitioners or they're just available for questions.
I think they're available for questions. I think they would tell you that if you pass this ordinance, they wouldn't need to say anything. They are very excited to get this going. And and not to belabor previous discussions, but they really want this SID. I think it does fit into the board's already decided and directed staff to create the ordinance. I created the ordinance in conjunction with their attorney, and they're happy with the presentation of the ordinance as it is. But insofar that they wanted to say something, of course they can. I think they're just happy that you're considering it. Insofar that you want the SID to go forward, you need to adopt the ordinance as it's presented.
Thanks, Clayton. I think what I propose to the board is that we take any public comment, and then we have a trustee discussions, and then if we have questions for Mr. Diener or more questions for Clay, then we could do that. Does that make the most sense? Does that work for the board?
Great.
Okay, great. All right, do we have any in-person public comment for this public hearing?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're opening it up now for public comment. If you're in person and you'd like to make a public comment, you can come to the podium, introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes. And if you're on Zoom, you can click the raised hand button and we'll promote you to panelist.
My name's Gary Chambers. I'm here representing the Silverton Fire Department. We just want to go on record and reiterate our concerns with the road widths in this development. They do deviate from what the planned road widths are by a considerable amount. I brought with me a letter that we sent to this board last June with our recommended road widths. It also has a diagram of, overhead diagram of our trucks set up, what kind of distance you need to safely operate a fire apparatus, and giving room for another vehicle to pass. If we're set up in the middle of the road on a fire scene and an ambulance needs to get by, we need to make sure that we're given that adequate space. So I have copies of that if anybody wants to look over that again. But it was sent out last year. But that's all I had. Just want to make sure that everybody's clear that we still have concerns with this.
Thanks, Jerry, and feel free to pass those out in person. Do we have other in-person public comment?
No.
Okay, great. Do we have any public comment on Zoom? Again, click the raise hand button and we will promote you to panelist.
We do not have anyone on Zoom.
It's on Zoom.
Okay, so we will close public comment, and we'll open up for any trustee questions or comments. I had an administrative comment for you, Clayton. In the ordinance, there was one paragraph that I was a little confused about, and I know you're driving, so I'll do my best to read it out. But it's in the packet, it's on page 4, and it's of the paragraphs that say whereas. It's the third paragraph, and it says, whereas the town was presented with a petition signed by the property owners to be assessed more than 50% of the entire costs estimated to be assessed within the proposed 8th and Bluff Street improvement.
You're going in and out, Dana. Losing you a little
Specific
bit.
improvements, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry. Let me turn off my video for a moment. Hold on. Okay, let's see if that helps at all. Is it any clearer?
Yes.
Okay, great. The way the paragraph reads on that third paragraph, there's a reference to 50%, and it looks like the 50% references the entire cost of the assessed improvements, but I think it means to reference the 50% of the property owners in the district. So just either a clarification for Jeff or clarification for Clay.
Yes, no, I think if the concern is that the owners are only paying 50% of the cost, that's not what that means. The owners are aware that they're going to bear the cost of this, including the administering of the SID and these pre-construction costs that are being incurred in the pre-development stage. That I think is just reference to the voting that the over 50% of the owners have petitioned, referencing back to the statutory requirement that they have a certain amount of the ownership for the vote, and so that's just poorly worded. But we can change that if we needed to before we start. But I think making this record and understanding that the owners understand that they're paying 100% of the cost, that's the truth of it. So.
Great. Thanks for stating that for the record. I think that I would just submit that if we can approve it with this administrative edit, that in that paragraph, it's that it says with a petition signed by 50% of the property owners to be assessed the entire cost estimated to be blah, blah, blah. So that it's just the 50% is referencing the property owners and not tied to the sentence of the cost.
Yes, I think I count that as Scrivener error, and we can clarify the language without needing to bring this back for another first reading. So we can do that.
Great, thank you. Other questions from board members for Mr. Diener, for Jeff, or for Clay?
Just a quick question for me. The maximum cost of the proposed improvements, we don't think it's going to go over that price line, right? Just want to make sure there's enough wiggle room.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We can.
Okay. Well, yes, that number, there's already wiggle room built into that. We talked about this at a previous meeting, I believe, but yeah, the low end cost for this installation is around 850,000. And the high end cost, we came to just over 1 million. I'm learning there will be a couple other incidental costs. Um, let's see, with the bank, when we're structuring the loan, I think there will be some um, extra costs in order to create the loan apparatus and whatnot. So I don't have those numbers yet, but this is, yeah, this is a very, there's a lot of wiggle room already built in here.
And just to clarify, this is not the board agreeing to this specific amount anyways, right? Like, there will be an additional step in discussion of what the actual budget is. So we're really just passing the ordinance to form the district, to then move forward with what's the actual cost and what will be the assessment to each property owner.
Great, thank you.
So I have a question for you. If this does go over cost, we've already signed the loan with the bank. You've already determined how much you're going to pay. How's the difference compensated for? Because I don't want the town to be responsible for it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a good question. So the way this works is that the negotiations with the bank are sort of like a pre-approval process you would go through if you were trying to get a mortgage loan. So we'll be pre-approved for enough of a loan amount to cover extra costs if the total project does go higher. So during the project, the bank will be paying for the construction while it's happening, and we won't obviously know the final cost until the project is complete. So, so there's apparatus in place, and that's the way it works with the banks, is that, we have estimates and the bank understands that it's a construction project and it may not hold to those estimates. But in no way, shape, or form is the town ever responsible for any of these costs. It's written into the loan agreement that all of these costs and the assessments, the forthcoming assessments, those are all basically the collateral is the land value that we as property owners are putting into this SID. So the bank is using our land value to guarantee this.
And basically, to state that a little differently as well, Jeff, it'd be saying like, once the project is completed and the whole amount is known, then that's the amount that gets assessed to the property owners.
Yeah, exactly. That is actually when the assessment ordinance happens, is once we know the final numbers. I mean, we can work on the language for the assessment ordinance previously, but we can't finalize the assessment ordinance until the project is done and we have all those numbers.
And then my next question is, tonight, all we are doing is creating the special improvement district. Is that correct?
Yes, yep.
Okay. And then does that have to be acted upon in any certain amount of time, or can just the special improvement district run forever or until the project's complete?
Oh, well, in general, the special improvement district process it's the best suited for a single project. So yeah, what you just said at the end there, that basically the special improvement district is created and then the funding mechanism is put in place. And once the project is complete, and all the assessments there's an assessment ordinance that's finalized. Then it basically, the special improvement district will go away. And us as landowners will start the process of paying for it.
I think too, to add on to that, really the intention, it's why we're having a special meeting tonight, is the intention of this board has signaled to move forward, and we're doing this in this tight time frame, so there could be an election in November of the property owners in the special improvement district. If the Board of Trustees is not interested in moving forward, then we need to stop everybody working on this. But I think we've given the intention that we're moving forward with the special improvement district. And I'm sorry if you guys can't hear me very well.
We can hear you.
Okay.
I guess my main question is, the landowner's been working on this for several years. This was brought up to us just a few months ago, and now we're wanting to rush through on our end of it. I don't understand why we are in such of a hurry to do it while it took the homeowners so long with the process.
I guess I would argue, Ron, that that's the very reason to start moving forward with this. I know the homeowners have been working on this for a very long time, and this whole project has gone through several boards in a variety of iterations. And so I would ask the board, what additional information are we waiting for? I think I've seen us in the past sometimes circle around and need more information, but really we may just not want this project to happen. Individuals of us may or may not want the project to happen for whatever reason, and more information is not necessarily going to change that perspective. And so I would argue the very reason that it's been worked on for so long, it's come before this board in a variety of ways, is a reason to continue moving forward with it. And I think this project and having continued development on the hillside, and in this way, it's not the town doing it, having to front the cost, this seems like a great mechanism to make something like this happen. But I'm just one perspective on the board, so welcome any other questions and feedback from my colleagues.
Yeah, I mean, I could speak to our motivations, I guess. We've been working on this for over 4 years. Whether or not you're aware, yeah, we have been working on this for quite some time. So it's a fairly small street extension, and your engineering firm and your public works director, your previous public works director, they approved all of the actual engineering work. This is only a discussion to use this purpose-built uh, funding vehicle. It's part of the Colorado state statute, and lots of towns use it when they can't afford to build the streets themselves. So I guess the question is, we're willing to pay upwards of $1 million to extend a couple streets so that we can actually have a home here. And the question is, do you want those kind of people who are forging ahead and finding solutions to direction from the master plan, moving along those lines of what the whole town has gone in with public comment to say that's the direction you want to go.
Thanks, Jeff. Other questions or comments from the board?
No questions. I mean, since this is just the ordinance to approve the special improvement district, the first reading, I don't see an issue with creating the district itself to get the process moving.
Thanks, Amy. Jim, I see you're off mute. Yeah, go.
Oh, thank you. I don't have any questions. I just want to put my support forward and say I'm really, really glad and I'm proud that we're at this point. This has been previous board to this board. It's taken a long time. We've gone through the process and now it's time to implement it. And this really is the perfect vehicle to get this done.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That was very well said.
All right. Well, I know we have about 8 minutes. This is the time for any other questions on the ordinance or to speak up regarding any other opposition to passing this ordinance tonight.
No opposition from me.
I move that we adopt ordinance 2025-05, forming the Eighth and Bluff Special Improvement District as presented.
Second,
Great. Roll call, please.
Trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Wakefield,
Yes.
trustee Schiffer,
Yes.
trustee Gardner. Yes. Trustee George,
Yes.
pro tem Harper.
yes.
Sorry. Yes, if you called my name, I didn't hear you. Thank you. Great. And we'll just, again, that one administrative edit regarding the 50%. Okay, great. Well, thank you. Thanks, Clayton, for your insight on this, and Jeff, and our other attorney colleague. Appreciate this and the work that's gone into it. And I know we have a fun project potentially in front of us. So let's keep the ball rolling. So next step on this is a second reading of this ordinance, correct?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay. Anything else on this item?
Nope.
Okay, great. So we have the Silverton Housing Authority meeting coming up at 5:30. We'll reconvene then. It's about 6 minutes from now. Thanks, Jeff, for being here. Thanks, Clayton, and we'll see you all in about 5 minutes.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Excellent. We are live.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm going to keep my video off and see if that helps with the audio. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, the time is 5:31. It's June 2nd. This is a meeting of the Silverton Housing Authority. I'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Halverson?
Here.
Trustee Wakefield?
Here.
Trustee Schnitger?
Here.
Trustee Gardner? Here. Trustee George?
Here.
Pro Tem Harper?
Here.
Mayor Kränker?
Here. Great, thank you. Do we have any staff or board revisions to the agenda?
No staff, revisions.
Any revisions from the board? Okay. Do we have any public comment in person? If there's public comment in person, you're welcome to come to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to make your public comment. And if you're on Zoom and like to make public comment, you can click the raise hand button. Do we have any in-person public comment?
No, and it doesn't look like there's anyone on Zoom either.
Okay. All right, we'll close public comment and we'll move on to approval of the May 12th meeting minutes. Did any board members have any adjustments or did staff have any comments on the meeting minutes from May 12th?
No.
Okay, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 12th.
So moved.
Second.
Great, roll call please.
Trustee Halverson?
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield?
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Gardner? Yes. Trustee George?
Yes.
Pro Tem Harper?
Yes.
Mayor Kränker?
Yes. Great, thanks. All right, now on to agenda item 4. This is a resolution 2025-06, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the Town of Silverton authorizing Anvil Townhomes LLC to enter into a construction loan agreement for the Anvil Townhomes development. And I will pass it to Ann.
Great, thanks, Gina. So the Anvil Townhomes is a development project that we've been working on as, let's see, in the Housing Authority capacity, at least for a year, a little over a year. Town has been working on it for a couple years prior. But this is a intentionally designed development to address our affordable housing needs. And just to give a little more background, in 2021, there was a housing needs assessment for San Juan County, and it said by 2024, we needed to have built 22 new units for permanent residents. Since then, we've built 5. So progress, we still have that deficit. And then in 2023, the town of Silverton opted into Proposition 123. This is a state statute, basically that sets aside a good chunk of money in the state's budget every year for affordable housing. We opted in so that we could be eligible for that funding. That's what's paying my paychecks right now. That's what that DOH grant was. And in order to remain eligible for that funding source, we need to build 9 new units under 100% AMI by the end of 2026. And we have 4 built to date that are under 100% AMI through the San Juan Development Association Anvil project, but we still need to get to that 9. Otherwise, we won't be eligible to apply for funding, that Prop 123 funding, until 2028. So that would have significant impacts on our progress for all of our other developments. So it is really critical that we hit our Prop 123 commitment. So we have a study that says we need to build housing. We have this commitment that we've made, but also like bigger picture when we think about our community and the vitality of it. We need affordable housing. It's a community, or it's a Compass Master Plan priority. It was a top priority in the citizen survey in last year. And at the beginning of this year, the Housing Authority put the Anvil Townhomes as the #1 priority on our work plan. And so we've Let's see. In June last year, we awarded our RFP to Tributary Development in Fading West, because they proposed a design and a product that fits into these lots, which are super weird, like we've talked about before. And we're really creating a high quality product for future homeowners. So these units are energy efficient, pretty sound, really soundproof, low maintenance homes. And it's designed to also integrate well into the neighborhood. So landscaping, sidewalks, these are all amenities that the current residents of Annville have put on their priority list. So we'll be working with them to meet that community vision. And then we're going to do 9 total units. 8 of those will be townhomes. 3 units will be 80% AMI. 5 units will be 100% AMI, and 1 will be 140% AMI to help cross subsidize those lower AMI units. And where we are now is we've been awarded, well, let me back up. Project costs about $1 million more than what the sale proceeds at an affordable sale price will generate. So I've been piecing together different grants. So we have a Division of Housing grant for $616,000. We requested an extension for that to be executed at the end of June. And then we applied for the Colorado Health Foundation grant of $450,000. I don't have a final decision on that. I do have strong, well, I don't know how to say this. So the program officer that I've been working with says that it's cleared all the levels of discussion and review. And now it's just waiting for the final signature. So it's not an ink. It's almost there. It's pretty much a guarantee, but at this point in time, I can't say that we have that money. And so in your packet, we have 2 different scenarios to cover that $1 million gap. First one is the DOH grant and the Health Foundation grant. That would allow us to keep the sale prices at about 20% below the maximum sale price per the 2025 AMIs. And what we've been seeing over the past few years, AMIs are increasing about 8% every year. And so in order to make sure that these sale prices are still actually affordable and attainable for people, we're subsidizing it at 20% more. So that's plan A. That's ideal. I have high confidence in it, but I don't have that official go ahead. So then the plan B is if we're not awarded the Health Foundation grant, there's different levers that we can pull in order to cover that gap. So the first one is last month, the county commissioners agreed to a $100,000 donation contingent on not getting the Health Foundation award. We can decrease construction costs doing a little value engineering. Not ideal, but it'll help us get there. And then increasing the sale proceeds. So we're going to up the sale price. And that will get us to where we need to be. So that would involve taking out a higher construction loan or a bigger construction loan. And so what we're presenting today is a resolution to enter into a construction loan agreement with First Southwest Bank. First Southwest Bank has access to an acronym, AHIF. It's the Affordable Housing, I want to say investment fund, but that is a chunk of money that has a 3% interest rate. So that helps us keep our costs lower. And that needs to be closed we need to close on that by the end of June. And in our original timeline, we're hoping to have already broken ground in May. So we're also just like butting up against like, this is when all of this needs to happen. And I have our development team with tributary development online. And they are here to talk about any questions that you guys have, and they can also jump into some of the nitty-gritty details about the construction loan with First Southwest Bank and how we've arrived to work with them. But I'll say I can either kick it over to them to just do that and go through the term sheet, or we can start with questions.
I mean, I'm fine with just moving forward, but if anyone else has questions or needs them to speak on it.
I think one thing I'm just curious about is that $70,000 savings in construction costs. What does that look like? Is that a serious compromise to the project? And if it's not, then
Why aren't we doing it?
why aren't we doing it anyway? So I'd like some clarity on that.
Yeah, Jack or Bleecker, can you just do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we would, some of it is scope and finding, so whether it's a little lower quality in terms of product usage. And then honestly, if it came down to, from a factory perspective, just telling them, look, we either get this order at this price or we're unable to move forward, believing we can drive some cost savings that way. But doing that kind of a take it or leave it, you got to be able to back it up. And so you might ask, well, why can't we get that savings today? I think it would be, again, a situation only in the case where the project's not going to move forward without that kind of a move. So it's a mix of value engineering and then honestly just being open book with Fading West that and they would be taking out of their profit margin. But we think we can get to that 70,000 without compromising quality, but it's going to be a take it or leave it type proposal that that's driven by the fact that we just didn't get the financing.
Yeah, and I'll add, we've been in kind of regular weekly contact with Fading West as we've kind of started to work with them through, stuff like foundation designs and kind of aligning on specific factory scopes. So they have a pretty good understanding of where this project stands from a financing process. I mean, Fading West provides a lot of boxes to projects like this across the state, to a lot of public-private partnerships. So I think they're very much aware of kind of we're at I'll say the 1 yard line on getting all of the financing in order for this. But they do understand that there is kind of this last piece that needs to fall into place before this is, really able to kick off. And so I think to Bleeker's point, if it did come down to it, I think they still want to be a part of this project and want to make it happen. So I think that's a conversation we're prepared to have in the unlikely scenario that the CHF grant funding does not come through. But as Ann mentioned, we all feel pretty good about where that stands, albeit frustrated that the timeline was not what was originally communicated.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, that's helpful.
Other questions from the board for Tributary or for Ann? Either on the term sheet or kind of the two scenarios that are in front of us?
Yeah, scenario B is the one where the price of the houses will go up. And that keeps us under the regulation, or what is that? I guess my point is if we are increasing the price of these homes and it's under has to be under 100% AMI, are people actually going to be able to buy them and afford them? Or are they just going to be, I mean, I can qualify, but if I can't ever pay, like,
Mhm.
what are we doing?
Yeah, that's sort of where we run into that. I mean, theoretically, you have someone who earns, it'll still be about 10% under the maximum sale price. And the idea is like, if you have someone who earns 90% AMI, like if, how do I explain this? So 100% AMI, anywhere between 80 and 100%. Someone who makes like 81% probably can't quite reach that 100% AMI sale price. So we've lowered it down to 90% AMI to try to like fit the rest of those people in who don't quite qualify. But what we're looking at is about a $30K increase in sale price in Plan B across the unit. I changed the amount that it increased because the 140% is getting pretty close to market rate. But yeah, that is the risk of going with Plan B of, can people actually afford it? We do have we have some tools at our disposal, so we can partner with Homes Fund. That's where I send a lot of our home buyers. And they come in with that down payment assistance. So that decreases the amount of money that they're putting towards their mortgage every month. So is it possible? Yes. Is it a little riskier of like, can people actually afford this? Also, yes.
But if we don't do that, we're liable to not be able to do the project. If we don't, again, that's the contingency plan. That's the plan B. But if we don't have the plan B, then there's no plan C. There's no project. How confident do you feel in that? No matter what, we're not listing these at the maximum sale price allowed for the various AMIs. And so how confident do you feel that in Plan B, we still would be able to sell the couple of units that are at each of those levels? Like pretty confident, not very confident, highly confident?
Yeah, so I feel pretty confident. I think it'll take maybe a little bit longer. But we have a interest list that has about 20 people on it. And I think next month is when I'll come back to the board and present sort of a program guidelines for like, what does it take to qualify for a program to apply? And I think the more restrictions we put on who can apply, the harder it will be to sell these homes. So we have some play with
How big the applicant pool is, yeah. Okay.
We had a market study done last summer. And the capture rate is how likely these units are to be absorbed into the market. And so there's like a low capture rate, which is like, if the market's not doing well, people aren't buying, this is what's going to happen. Then the high capture rate. And our numbers sort of fit right in the middle. So it's a little aggressive, but it's not overly aggressive. But I mean, like truthfully, putting 9 units on the market at the same time is a lot, but we also have the data to back this up, that we need a lot more affordable housing options for permanent residents. And that's exactly what this is. Yeah. And Jack and Bleeker, you guys can jump in at any time. Does that answer your question, Dana?
Yeah, thanks, Ann.
Yeah, I think it would just take, we would certainly broaden the net to target, potential buyers, whether it's, CDOT or even reaching into potentially employers in Durango. And I know we want to deliver to the local community, and that'll be the primary focus. But if we do have to increase pricing, and again, that is our downside scenario, not the base case. We're hearing positive things from the Health Foundation, but I think we'd have to ensure we had a bigger pool to try to choose from in that downside scenario.
Yeah, and Ian, I would just add, I mean, I think you did a good job illustrating this in the packet, but I mean, if we go look at the available housing inventory right now in Silverton of just what's for sale from a market rate perspective, and then even in our Plan B scenario, what these units would be sold for, like there are not market rate opportunities right now for someone to purchase, a 2-bedroom home for well under $300,000 or a 3-bedroom home for under $350,000 or under $400,000, for depending on the AMI. So I do still think that we're delivering something well below market for these deed restricted units. I mean, it's always challenging in smaller markets like Silverton to deliver 9 units at a time. Like there's always just going to be a little bit of absorption timing that needs to happen for that. But if you ask me today, I do feel pretty good that these units are still going to be meeting a need for some very real affordability. But again, this is Plan B, and we're focused on making Plan A happen. But I do think that Plan B is still still going to be well below what market rate pricing would be for these homes.
Thanks. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just like, yeah, I agree. I do think that regardless of which plan we end up going with, hopefully it's Plan A. But I do think these units will be sold, especially again, looking at market rates right now and what's for sale.
The program officer contacted the Health Foundation in an email last week, said, "Our confidence is high that support is moving forward. The rationale is complete, and we need one final signature."
Any day now.
So it really, any day now. I've been saying it for months, but
yeah, thanks, Anne. So I guess the real question before the board is, does anybody have more clarifying questions for the 2 options we're considering? And or does anybody have real strong opposition to option B if that's what's needed?
I have a question. So so we need to know if we can secure all the funding by end of June, right? What happened? Sorry, go ahead.
What'd you say at the end? What happened?
So what happens if we don't hear back until, like, I don't know, after the deadline happens and we do get the award, like, and we have to go with option B?
Yeah, what we would do is the main thing, but the main issue by June 30 between A and B is closing on the loan with First Southwest, because they have that very attractive rate. So we would be able to close at the higher loan amount that's required under B. And if the funding came in, we just wouldn't draw that money from the bank. We might pay a slightly higher fee on that incremental dollar upfront, but that's de minimis. But yeah, so we could go revert back to Plan A if that happened.
Okay.
Great question. Okay, so from the board, is there any opposition to having Plan A and B on the table, knowing we'd all prefer Plan A, for us to move forward with a loan agreement?
No opposition from me.
Yeah, you know, I don't love looking at scenario B, but I'm really glad that we have we have this planning work in place to provide a backstop, and that makes me feel confident moving forward.
Thanks, Carl. So it's a resolution 2025-06. So we need a motion to approve this resolution if the board is interested to enter in the loan agreement.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-06, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the Town of Silverton authorizing Anvil Townhomes LLC to enter into a construction loan agreement for the Anvil Townhomes development.
Second.
Great. Roll call, please.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Wakefield?
Yes.
Mr. Bicker?
Yes.
Gardner? Yes. Mr. George?
Yes.
Tim Herber?
Yes.
Mayor Greiger?
Yes. Great, thank you. And Anne, I'm sorry that you've been in a position to have to come up with two completely separate financing options for this. I really appreciate your persistence and diligence to keep this project moving. I think it speaks volumes to your dedication, your capability, and really appreciate Tributary and your guys' just work and support to keep this project viable as we deal with the glacial pace of all things right now. So thank you, Anne. Anything else for us on that item?
No, not for me, no.
Okay, great. And I just also wanted to really acknowledge the contribution from the county in helping us to kind of preserve this option B. Just note that contribution and the partnership. They've been a great partner with really supporting affordable housing throughout the years. So just thanks to the commissioners and to Willie for seeing this through. And we hope we don't have to make good on that commitment, but we appreciate the partnership. All right, moving on to agenda item 5. This is the developed services agreement for Anvil Townhomes. And I will pass it to you, Anne.
Great. Okay, so like I've mentioned, Housing Authority's been working with Tributary Development through a pre-development agreement up until this point. And according to that previous agreement, if the developer and the owner, the Housing Authority, determine that the project is financially viable, the developer and the Housing Authority shall negotiate a development agreement. And since we've come up with these two scenarios, Plan A and Plan B, the project is financially viable, and we're moving forward with a construction loan, it's time to finalize that development agreement with Tributary. The version that's in your packet was reviewed by Clayton. It's back over to Tributary and their legal counsel. So this isn't the final draft. But what I'm looking for today, I think, would be a motion to enter into agreement. With the caveat that this isn't the final version, but our legal counsel will sign off on it, and I will before we enter into like a formal agreement. Any questions about that? Okay. Tributary has been great. There's no way I could have done this without them. We've been working really hard on this project for a year. So they've been a wonderful partner, critical to doing the DOH grant. And yeah, I look forward to continuing to work with them.
Thanks, Anne. I think it's a real testament just to that local partnership. You know, we had a variety of folks respond to the RFP for these units to begin with, and I just think this has really added a lot of capacity and just been a really great partnership. So really appreciate what Tributary and then also what Fading West is bringing. Does anyone on the board have questions on the development agreement? I wanted to confirm that Clayton had seen this and he approved. And appreciate staff's work to put this together. So any questions or concerns from the board or things that you'd change or add?
No.
Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to approve the draft development agreement, assigning final sign off to our legal counsel and our director?
And the language is in the memo.
I'll make a motion to authorize Anvil Townhomes LLC to enter into a development services agreement with Tributary Development LLC upon review from Clayton and Ann of the final draft.
Okay. Trustee Halverson?
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield? Trustee Schnicker?
Yeah.
Trustee Gardner?
Yes.
Yes.
Richard Harper?
Yes.
Mayor Kranker?
Yes. Great. Thank you all. Thanks, Anne. Thanks, Bleeker and Jack, for being here. Anything else you guys wanted to add as we continue this great relationship? You're going to be with us for a little bit.
No, thank you guys. We're really excited to hopefully be down there soon for groundbreaking. So thanks for all the patience thus far. I know it's been a long process, but we're going to have units in soon.
Very exciting. I think we're going to need the ribbon and the scissors, Anne.
Big scissors, big ribbon.
We got them. Okay, anything? Yeah, go ahead, Anne.
Thank you all.
Well, I was just going to say thank you to the board, to Tributary. This is exciting. We're going to build affordable housing. Yeah.
So much progress has been made, and thanks for your perseverance.
And I, of course, will let you all know and the public know through our newsletter and perhaps the standard if and when we get that Health Foundation funding. Any day now. Yeah.
Can we ring the bell again? I mean, seems about
we'll
right.
ring the bell for sure. Great.
Great. Thank you, guys. All right. The time is 6:04, and I'll adjourn this meeting of the Silverton Housing Authority. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.